Hello, bros. We're back with Mara, a long narrative poem from Robinson Jeffers from the book Be Angry at the Sun. 2. A night a year later, he was driving home from Caliente Creek with an empty horse trailer behind the car. At Point Sur, his lights picked out 3 or 4 cars and a small truck parked on the roadside, and a few persons there were standing talking. Slowing to pass them, he recognized Sam Barrett's ferret-like face. He stopped and went back. Hello? Accident? Yee, he said. The Atlanta? Another man said, it crashed out there. What's the Atlanta? Then, remembering the name, the dirigible? Yeah, the big airship. Wrecked? He said. Then a little shaggy old man stood up from the bank under the fence. Crack voice. By God, I saw. Ah, shut up, Barrett said. He makes me tired, the old man said. I was here, wasn't I? By God, I saw the mountains reach out their hands and catch it in the air like a kid catches a minnow in a puddle. In a dry crick. Have a drink, Barrett said, handing a bottle to Ferguson, who wiped its mouth on his coat sleeve. Drank and returned it. Not whiskey, but sick, sweet wine. He felt someone press against him, looked down and saw Mary Monahan's young oval face, white in the darkness, and her shining eyes. She felt for his hand, saying, Oh, Bruce, where did you come from? Then the other man, Sam Barrett's friend. I wasn't here, of course, at the time. I understand from the Coast Guard that a bolt of lightning broke the ship's back. Barrett laughed. Mary Monahan said, That's a Coast Guard car. What can they do without equipment? They're on the shore. Ferguson, feeling her nestled against him in the wind and darkness, bent an arm around her, but looked above her dark head across the sand flat, past the towering black dome of the Sur Rock, the glow of the lighthouse high on its shoulder, toward the immense gray waste and solitude of sea, the misty light beam from the rock height impassively circling across it. How many in the crew? Sam Barrett said. Hell. His friend said 30 or 40. I guess they're goners. Ferguson said it couldn't lose all its helium. I think it would float all night. Well, good night. Good night, Mary. But she followed him, walking back toward his car, and said in a moment, Bruce, take me home. Ah, he said. She said, that weasel eyes. They're drunk as bastards. Honey, do you remember the night you and I walked out on the dance at Mill Creek and heard the music behind us and the killdeer birds crying in the dark? She sat in the car. Sam Barrett came alongside and said, God damn you, Mary, what's coming off? Ferguson stood over him. She's going home. What's that to you? He said, go to hell if you want, and went back down the road. Mary said, Bruce, look at the lights. He saw on the vague sea in the north, off the dark headland, a progress of lighted craft, Coast Guard boats, or perhaps destroyers, the long beams of their searchlights sweeping the water. Looking for them, he said. Well, we can't help. He drove north, and the light line stood all along the dark sea, and they passed car after car of sightseers who had heard of the wreck by radio and now ran south with the lit fleet, their idle headlights and questing searchlights, drawing coastwise 2 shining fringes between the long sea and the high black hills. At Burnt Mountain Canyon foot, Ferguson turned up the gorge and up the hill, and stopped at the Monahan place on the high ridge between 2 canyons. There was no light in the house, and the car's lights lay over the tops of oak trees on the empty air over black depth. Mary said, Clyde's in San Francisco. He won't be home till tomorrow night. Ferguson waited in savage contempt of himself, and the woman, for the rest of her piece, Stay with me, dear. I'm all alone. He switched off the motor and heard Mary's hands twisting together, and a horse moving along the fence in the dark. At length he said, So you picked up Sam Barrett? You lie, she answered, and squirmed on the car seat, pushing her cold face and hot mouth against his face. His right arm embraced her, and his left hand, along the smooth, cool thigh under the cloth, touched the crisp hair. A fraction of his mind thought, little or like a meh in a dirty story, then Mary Monahan, deep-voiced and hoarse, Oh God, stay with me, dear. I'm all alone. He answered in the doorway of the dark cabin, "Only don't call it love. The girl I love is 5 miles from here." "Ah," she answered, "you fool. Everyone knows she sleeps with your brother when you're away." Ferguson checked his hand in the act of striking. He pushed her into the house and went back to his car. Coming home, he fought his violent need of sneaking to the lighted window and peek like a dirty spy. He walked back and forth on the dark path, sweating in the cold air, and heard the waves beating the gorge mouth beach echo in the mountain. He went in, treading noisily up the plank steps and porch. Fawn and his mother were in the room, Fawn by the table under the lamp, mending a baby garment, the lamplight stirring in the tawny storm of her hair, and his mother some distance away, sitting erect and still with her hands folded. Ferguson looked from one to the other, his eyes dazed from the darkness, his tall body stooping like a sick eagle's. He said, "Hello, Fawn." "What, you're still up, mother?" "It's dark out," Fawn said. "Bruce, you look so strange. What happened?" He turned intently examined the narrow, fastidious beauty of her face, puckering his eyes against the lamplight, saying, "What? No, I sold that fox-color mare at my own price. Not a penny off. Where's Alan?" She breathed and said, "He went upstairs." "Oh, I don't want him," he answered. "I think we'll shift the yearlings to the upper pasture in the morning. How's Dad?" Fawn said. "His pain seemed easier today." Old Mrs. Ferguson said, "He suffers more every day, and it seems wrong to help him live." "Well, mother, I know. A man who's ridden all day and sinned all night and never known an hour's sickness in 70 years. I guess we all have to catch it sometime, sooner or later." He answered, "By the way, that dirigible balloon of the Navy's, the big one you've seen go over here, popped and went down tonight in the sea off Point Sur. People were watching. Nothing ever happens unwatched, you know. What's that to us?" And that ends part 2.